Hi everyone. This is the second part of the PAYE computation training video, and our main focus today is on the self-assessment computation. Like it sounds, self-assessment is the assessment for self-employed individuals, and the requirement according to the law is that they assess themselves, to tax in accordance to their income for a particular tax year. You know, and you can already think about examples of people that fall into this category. They are professionals, maybe lawyers that run, you know, accountants that run their own business and all of that, and business owners in general, people that own business, maybe sole proprietors or partners in a particular partnership business, of course, to the tune of their income, based on their sharing ratio if it is a partnership business. So, what I would just love us to notice that the computation for self-assessment is not any different from what we have done in the PAYE computation that we did in the first video, and basically, and just to run us through the process of filing for self-assessment. The first thing, of course, is to do the compute the tax liability for the particular tax year. And the second thing is to go to the relevant tax office. And from our first video already, we discussed that the tax authority responsible for individual taxes is the State Inland Revenue Service. And so the next step is to, for instance, if you stay in Lagos or you have spent more than 183 days, according to the PIT, you know, Act, if you have spent more than 183 days, that is more than half of the year in a particular state, you are you are expected to assess yourself and remit the tax for that tax year, to that particular state inland revenue service. So if it's, for instance, if it's Lagos State, it means that the appropriate tax authorities, Lagos Inland Revenue Service, that is LIRS. So after completing your tax, the next thing is to walk into the appropriate LIRS office, pick up the self-assessment form, fill your details, fill the computed tax, and submit. Then after submission, you go to the relevant bank and pay the tax liability. Basically, so like I said earlier, the computation is not any different from the PIT that we have done initially, but I understand that in the final part of the first video that we did, the audio was a bit impaired, and so it might affect the understanding, especially of this logical the if function that we used in the computation of the bands of the taxes. So I will just run through that so that it can form a good foundation for the self-assessment that we're going to be computing. So basically, this is the sheet that we use in our first video, and I expect that we see you understand how we came about all of this. How we came about all of this, and so what I believe that it is from this computation of the taxes that are to this band that was where the issue came up from. So I'm just going to do them all over again. Do them all over again. So I'm going to delete. Okay, I'm going to just do, since the process for the third, from the second to the fifth, the process is the same. It's only the first and the sixth that is different. So I'm going to do. Look, let me just do everything all over again so that it's not so much, but I'll just be a bit fast with it. So I'm just going to delete everything. Let's start over again. So for the first one, we said we're going to use our logical test formula, which is the if function. Our if function, we are saying that if our chargeable income is greater than or equal to 300,000, let's give us the rate multiplied by 300,000. Else, let it give us the difference, the rate multiplied by the difference, the rate multiplied by the difference. 300,000. We have to open our parentheses, 300,000 minus chargeable income. We did that so that it don't give us a negative figure. and we have to close our parentheses three times, two times rather. So, but for this to be able to, for us to be able to copy this downwards, we have to fix some references like this 300,000 and 7%. We have to fix it. To fix, we just simply have to use F4 function. F4, just press F4, F4 for anyone that we don't want it to copy downwards, like I said, F4, F4. So, but our K6 is our chargeable income. We want that to come downward as we copy downward. But for this one, we don't want them to come. We cannot copy downwards now, right? The second one I want you to pay attention. We are doing if function again. If function now we are saying that the difference, because we have already accounted for the first 300,000, right? The difference, if the difference between our chargeable income and the 300,000 we already like accounted for initially, if the difference is greater than or equal to the next 300,000, then let's give us the rate multiplied by that 300,000. Else, I want you to pay attention here. Else, if this is not the case, then we have to nest another if function because we don't have a negative. We don't want to have a negative computation. We don't have to have a negative figure in our computation. Just say if another logical test. If the difference is less than zero, that is, if it is negative, if this difference is less than zero, right? Let's give us zero. Else, let us give us the rate multiplied by the difference, like we have said in the first one. Then give us the rate multiplied by the difference. This is minus 300,000. Don't forget to close your parentheses three times because we opened parentheses three times if you check well. Yeah. So, but we have to also fix our references appropriately. Fix this, fix this, fix this, fix this, fix this, fix this, then fix the last n as well. So it means we have fixed all of what we're supposed to fix. So let's copy downwards easily. See? So this one there is not a 3,000. It means that it's less than the next one. So it's probably not going to go into it's probably going to end at the third band. Let us see. The same thing we're gonna do here. Saying so much again now. So same thing we're gonna do here. We're going to say that this minus the amount that we have accounted for, if it is greater than or equal to the next amount, 500,000. Let's give us the rates multiplied by 500,000. Right? Else, I don't want the negative because I will nest another logical function. So if the difference is less than zero, this is it is negative. If it's less than zero, let us give us zero. Else, let us give us the difference. The rate multiplied by the difference, pardon me. By the difference that is chargeable income minus 600,000. Put my parentheses three times, then fix my references. O2 is going to be fixed, O3 fixed, O4 fixed, O3 fixed, O2 fixed, O4 fixed, O2 fixed. So 5,000, I can copy down it easily. I see that this third one now it does not like it didn't even enter the third band because it is not. I see that it didn't exceed. No. So fourth one as well, the same thing. So minus the amount that we have accounted for, which is 1.1 million. We can now see the importance of that having that sum up there. You know, if it is greater than or equal to, the next 500,000, let's give us the rates multiplied by 500,000. 19 multiplied by 500,000. Else, another if function so we don't have negative is if the difference because possibly the difference is less than zero. If the difference is less than zero, sorry, pardon me. If the difference is less than zero, let's give us zero. Else, let us give us the rate multiplied by difference. That is, it means it is greater than 0, right? So let us have the difference then. So those are parentheses 3 times. And then fix appropriate references. Okay. So let's copy downwards. So it means 2 are out now. So this one out to the same thing. So just going to do this minus the amount that we have accounted for, which is this 1.6. If that amount is greater than or equal to 1.6, let's give us the weight multiplied by 1.6. Else, I'm going to next another. This amount is less than 0 and 6. If it's less than 0, plus 0, else let us give us the weight multiplied by the difference. 6 weights. Okay. Fix my differences appropriately. Fix my references appropriately. Okay. So okay, this looks awkward. Have we done the appropriate thing? Be sure we have done the appropriate thing. This looks so long because of course I've interacted with this thing very well. So let me just do it all over again. Then if this difference, okay, this was good to cover. More than or equal to, it's more than or equal to 16 million. Then let us give us 21% divided by 16 million. Alright. And if that is not the case, we're gonna list and say that if is less than 0, let's give us 0, and let's give us uh, okay, it's correct then. So it's correct then. Here we then have for this one now, since this one is just 3.2 billion and above, so we don't have to go through all of that stress. Since we are saying it's 3.2 million and above, just say that if this minus this, if it is greater than 0, then that is, if it is positive, then let's just give us the rate multiplied by that difference, multiplied by the difference that we have, multiplied by the difference. The, so, multiplied by the difference. It is anything that is remaining that we have not accounted for. Let's just multiply it, and then but if that is not the case, let us give us 0, right? Let us give us 0. That if it is now less than 0, that is if it is negative, yeah. Let's give us 0. We don't want a negative figure. So we see that the reason why it's giving us all of this is because we have not fixed ourselves appropriately. So we have not fixed ourselves. So we forgot to fix ourselves. So let us fix ourselves now. F4 here. So I'm going to put it downward now. See the difference. See the difference now that it's only this one that entered into the band. So for our total annual tax now, just sum from the first band to the sixth band. Sixth band and then put it downwards. Okay. Now to get our monthly, we put this divided by 12. The amount that should be remitted monthly for each of the staffs, each of these staffs. Now, going straight away to our self-assessment. For instance, the one person that we are computing the self-assessment for might be the owner of the business, or it might even be a director if it is a company. It might be a director in the business. Let me just this properly. It might even be um, a director, whatever it is, so far is an individual and he is a self-employed person and it does not rank like amongst the employees. The law requires that he or she files for self-assessment. That is, he assesses himself based on the income that he has received in the financial year or in the tax year, and then it computes based on that. And like I said earlier, the computation is not any different from what we have. All that makes a difference is in getting the gross income and the chargeable income, right? That is what, because for instance, for a business owner, he might not follow all of this salary structure like the basic housing and transport. He might even have like a different form of set aside instead of like pension that he's doing. So all we just have to do is I'm going to leave room for flexibilities, you know, flexibilities. So that's I'm just going to give us a good format that we can use. I'm going to match. Okay. So this now can stay at the middle. And then here I can have it in accounting format. Yeah. So the format is good now, I believe. So basically, yeah, what we are trying to say is that based on whatever it is, since he's not an employee, right? We are saying that based on his income for that particular year. So for instance, let's just assume it can be a professional, maybe he's a lawyer that just that is not working for a company that is practicing, the same thing will apply to him. So his income for the particular year. So let's just assume that this particular person, Mr. Gbadi, let's call him Mr. Gbadi self-assessment. Mr. Badi, right? Maybe Mr. Badi is the owner of the business. Self-assessment. So Mr. Badi is the owner of the business. So if it's the owner of the business, if it's a sole proprietor, for instance, now we assume that the profit of the business after paying all of the salaries, everything after they have removed everything, the net profit is we assume that that will be his own income, right? So let's just call it income. Yes. But if it's a partner, for instance, you can already assume. So what we just have to do is to apply, the profit sharing ratio in their contracts in their papers to Mr. Gbadi. For if it is 50-50 or 2:1, just apply that ratio sharing formula, get the part that is for Mr. Gbadi and use that as the income. Let's say Mr. Gbadi's income is 32 million naira, for instance. I don't know, 2 million naira, for instance. And let's say he has some other investments, some other places, and that gives him other income. So all of his income has to be added. So let's say that is 2 million naira for the year. So this already gives us what's our gross income, right? So I can easily just put this and say what is equal to my gross income. So I call this gross income. I call this gross income. So every other statutory deduction, just like we did it for these guys now, like the pension, for instance, if it's also like entitled to pension, NHF, and all of that, we already know how to compute all of that. All we just have to do is put them here. Statutory start deduction. Let me just put it here. Start deduction. right? Just remove it from here. That's deduction. So once we have removed it, so once we have removed the start deductions, the next thing for us to do is for, so let's say this is start deduction. That's deduction, and then we don't forget we can compute our CRE already for this, and our CRE from what we discussed earlier, we said our CRE is 1% higher. So here we have to use the if function again. It's 1% of, if 1% is greater than, don't forget what we said, if 1% of our gross income is income, if it is greater than 200,000, 200, 1, 2, 3, yeah, let us give us 1% of 200,000. 1% of our gross income rather. That's it, because it is the higher of the 1% of 200,000 or 200,000. So if 200,000 is higher, so it will pick 200,000. That's the reason why I'm using the logical test. Trying to not make it the video so long. 1% of the gross income. Let it give us 1% of the gross income. Else, let it give us 200,000. Okay, let's give us 200,000 plus, that is what the act says, plus 20% of gross income. Okay, so we have to put this in parentheses. So it means our CRE is 7.14 million. So to now get our chargeable income, don't forget that for the purpose of computing, you know, purpose of computing our CRE, we have to first of all remove our, we have to first of all remove our, we have to first of all remove our statutory deductions before we arrive, you know, before we arrive at our CRA. Like we did here, if you see this place, like we see that that is the reason, major reason why we computed our gross income. So in this case now, this is our gross income. It means that if there are statutory deductions, the statutory deductions is supposed to come here, not even here. It's supposed to come here. Don't forget what we said in the first video. That thank God I even remembered. So because before we can compute our CRA, we must have removed the other statutory deductions like the pension, the NHF, and whatever. So that is since Finance Act 2020, that is the effect. Initially, it would have come. This would have come before with the statutory deduction to arrive at our chargeable income, but now it comes after. CRA comes after we have removed pension and NHF. So basically, now if we remove this, then we now arrive at our chargeable income, right? Chargeable income. Chargeable income, which is going to be this less this minus this, right? So this is the final figure. We can put it as this, right? And we can make this bold. So, okay, shift this upward very well. So now that we have this, we can plug it into our format that we already created. We already have the chargeable income, right? We can plug it into, let's include our chargeable income here. Okay, so it is, we have to fix, we have to say, we have to fix this so that when we copy it, or we can just link it, we can just link it actually. Let's just link it. So that if anything now comes into, that's immediately we linked it, it populated all of this because, you know, because we have familiarized this initially. So, and tells us, it tells us the total tax, tells us the monthly tax. That is the beauty in formalizing our Excel sheet. And so that it just populated it by itself. So we can call this Mr. Daddy self-assessment. So we can come here and now link the total tax liability, total tax. Okay, just go to this place and link it to our total tax now. So you can see that it's very, very easy. If I will get our formatting right, our formatting will help our work to be good, and we can paint this maybe just to differentiate it just as white as well. So we can see this is just it. This is just about it. So it is only in getting the gross income that there might be a little difference because for a business owner might not be subjected to the same allowances, deductions that his employees have, and that is what makes the difference. But once you get the gross income, we have summed up all the income from both the business and from other sources. We have summed them up. We apply the same rates. We apply the same rates and arrive at the chargeable income, arrive at the total tax liability. I hope this helps. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for watching.